Peace, everybody.
Yay. Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to season 2. We made it. We made it.
Yes.
Season 2 premiere of Artistry, where art meets industry. Again, we are your hosts. It's Rachelle Etienne-Robinson.
I'm Stan Substantial Robinson.
And so we're so excited to be back. We had a great experience with season 1. Today, we're going to go over some highlights from last season, as well as, lessons learned. 2020, needless to say, and I know it's been said so many times, was a very unprecedented year for everyone. And so we were glad to have some happy times, some happy times that we can, that we wanted to share, and we learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But we have this season, for season 2, we plan to continue to interview and bring you great interviews with some visual and performing artists. We have a great lineup of folks.
For sure.
We have some writers. We have, of course, musicians. We have visual artists. Just to talk,
you can name drop. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
You know
I was getting that.
Okay, my bad. My bad.
We gotta ease them in. We gotta
Okay.
ease them into it.
Right.
But so we have a lot to talk about, to catch up with you all. But yeah, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome. For those that are returning, welcome back. We are so happy that you decided to take time out of your day to spend either listening to us, or now this year we've decided to add it onto YouTube as well.
Visuals.
Get the visuals. So again, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, for sure.
So last year, 2020.
Yeah. So we started the podcast in June, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it started in June. Part of what motivated us to do it was, between the conversations we have with our clients and fellow creatives, we thought it would be great to have a show where we could have these conversations, learn more about so many amazing people, while at the same time letting the world hear their story. And hopefully the wide variety of creatives that we know around the world would get a chance to listen in, possibly learn some things, find some inspiration, and find some hope in these trying times, right? So, and I think just based on a lot of the feedback that followed, right? Of course, people just love hearing from us, and that was a blessing in itself. But they were super impressed with so many of the different guests that we had on. And their stories. A lot of people really felt like they learned a lot about so many different people who we've had the pleasure of working with, that have all, a lot of them have been interviewed, but oftentimes people don't dive as deep into what helped them get to where they are. Right. And that's very important for other creatives looking for guidance and trying to find their way. Getting a clearer picture of a lot of other creatives' paths.
I mean, it's in the tagline, where art meets industry. Not only do we talk about, the artist and the artist's journey, but also the business side of things.
Sure.
Because a lot of times, as artists, we are so focused on the creative part when the business side is just as important.
Definitely.
Maintaining, whether it's publishing, whether it's licensing, whether it's just representation. And so we wanted to make sure that everyone that we interview, that you're getting the whole picture.
Right.
A mini autobiography.
For
right?
sure.
But so some takeaways. Was there anybody that struck you that was like, wow, this was such a great, everybody, not taking away.
I was about to say everybody.
Let me full disclaimer, okay? Full disclosure.
Yeah.
We appreciate every guest that we have.
Yeah.
But there's always, always takeaways, and something that will that is lasting and memorable for anybody that you meet. So
one of the best parts about doing the show, there were so many people because everyone that we had on the show were people that we had relationships with already. So what was really, really dope was I felt like we learned so much about people too. All of them, it's like somebody, and sitting down doing this show, we got to learn so much about people we had known for years. Right. I think Alan Cole, also known as Algorithm of the Stuyvesants. Yep. It was just so much that we already knew about him, but when we did the interview, it was just, it was really eye-opening because he's an amazingly talented visual artist and musician. But, in this climate now where everyone's working from home, he was kind of someone who had been already doing it. What a good, maybe almost 10 years, if not more, before all of this happened. And so him just talking about adapting and how even for him, it definitely changed things. You know what I mean? So that was really interesting. Of course, Kokai, another person who I know really, really well, hearing his story, and of course Sahat as well. They're a couple who both of them are amazing and super talented, but just really getting to know them better, because they're people who we spend a lot of time with, and we definitely didn't know their full story. We still don't know their full story, but it was great to learn so much more about them. You know?
And I mean, honestly, the entire list of guests are folks that we know personally.
Yeah.
I mean, as Stan has a saying, our friends are dope. And they are. They truly are. Like, these are artists. Either we've met them through school, we met them through other friends, or we met them for business. And so to be able to share space and time with them and really hear about their story and their journey was definitely a gift, especially during this time. I mean, when, like as Stan mentioned before, with folks staying at home, where some folks who are a little bit more isolated or became parents for the first time. We met some people who, they became a parent. Some people, who perform regularly or on the road were now homebound, and just to know how that affected their art. And so we learned a lot. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, last season, if I could sum it up in a phrase, for a lot of folks, not necessarily everyone, because a lot of them kind of were already pandemic proof, if you will, in terms of how they had their business model set up. So it changed some things, but it didn't kill their business. But I feel like one of the themes definitely was the art of the pivot. Everyone learning to pivot in these times and really adapt to the changes they all faced. Who were your favorites?
Oh gosh. Granted, we don't have time to go through each and every one, but I think I definitely would say I took something from each person that we interviewed. One of the things that we strived ourselves on is not only interviewing visual and performing artists, but we also interviewed those in arts administration. These are your grant makers, your grant writers, those who are executors running organizations like Brooke Kidd, who we interviewed, Allison McNeil, who basically helps other arts organizations, works with them on their diversity and inclusion efforts. And so I thought that was just as important as interviewing the individual artists as well. And then we had some designers. We had Tabassum Siddiqui, who's a fashion designer. We've had, a handful of musicians and composers like Mason Lieberman. And
there's no shortage of musicians in our circle.
Right, which is great because, none of you have some that are producers, right? You have some who are when I say producers, are those who are either making beats or composing music or play instruments. We have vocalists, we have icons. Everybody, professional, a master in their own right. I mentioned Karen Baker, who's a great producer and creator, who was a joy to interview. So, there was just literally, there was a takeaway for everybody that we had the pleasure of meeting with.
For sure. Yeah. So now that we talked about like some of our guests from last year, who we got lined up for this year?
So this year, drum roll, please. We have, thank you.
You're welcome.
For this season, we are again following suit, as I mentioned before, with both professional visual artists and performing artists.
Mhm.
I am so happy that we will be able to meet a very good friend as well as an accomplished writer. Marcus J. Moore will be joining us. He will be our first guest.
Talk about his book.
Yes.
That he, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into details later, but yes.
Yeah, so just to keep that on your radar. Again, we're following a bi-weekly schedule. So here pretty much until the end of. So if you miss one, definitely follow back and check back in with us. But yeah, Marcus J. Moore. We have Ash Sharu, who will be joining us. We have Micah Blacklight, oh my God, phenomenal.
Visual artist.
Just a jack of all trades, or a black of all trades.
Black of all trades. Yes, there you go.
A great friend of ours. We had the pleasure of sharing space and time with him in our formative years,
right?
Yeah, during college. And so he's just a great talent. We also have Brian Lanise, another great friend of ours who is an Emmy Award winning.
Shout out to our Pratt friends coming through.
Just doing the most and the best. But he'll be joining us and talk his journey. We also have, of course, some vocalists. We have Carolyn Malachi. For those in the DMV area, I'm sure are very familiar with her. Not only is she a vocalist, she's an accomplished engineer as well. And so we definitely look forward to talking to her, and as well as Kyle Murdoch, who will be joining us as well.
Yeah.
We also have another visual artist who is just near and dear to hearts. We actually had the pleasure of again going to school with her as well. Maria Gaspar. So like from Chicago. Yes. From Chi-Town. So Chi-Town will be in the house.
Yes.
The virtual house. And then let's see. We also have Kali Abdullah, who is a great creative and producer, has worked with Essence Magazine. Currently, I think working with People Magazine. Just about any great spread you've seen in the last couple of years in the magazines. Our girl, Kali,
out here doing it.
Is doing big things.
In real life.
Yes. Yeah. So that's just some of the folks that we'll be meeting with. So looking forward to talking with them. Again, as we had mentioned before, it's one thing to know somebody like in passing and you talk and, you talk about basic things, everyday things, but to really know about their journey and what inspired them to get into the arts in the first place, I think is very vital. And
for sure.
And, it's interesting. And we haven't really seen anything like that. And so we're glad to be able to bring that to you all. What are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean,
with this season,
we talked about last season being, the art of the pivot. I think this season, basically it's kind of, I feel like the theme is leaning toward, the importance of building your network, because these are all people who we've met along the, our journey of, most of our guests are from our college years, right? And what's amazing about it is, granted, a lot of them are visual artists, but so many of these people we went to a visual art school with also dabble in other fields as well. We mentioned Micah Blacklight, who also is a poet, a dancer, and a singer. He does a lot, but even though art is his main thing, but he's also a coach as well, talking to people about the different changes their lives are going through and just really motivating people to be their best selves. So I'm really excited about just connecting and reconnecting with so many people who we started our journey in the arts world with, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's very beneficial to not only fellow artists, but anybody who's just interested in learning about and digging into the artist's mindset. Yeah. And so, we definitely are grateful to them and to you all for listening and watching and learning. We plan to continue. I mean, we've been very blessed that a lot of the folks that we interview, again, we know them personally. Yeah. And so that is definitely another plus, and we would love to share that with you. We're all about giving them flowers while they can still smell them. I think, especially last year where you see a lot of folks, we've lost a lot of folks from natural causes, from COVID, from, illnesses. And so, let's learn to appreciate and recognize those who are still here. it's easy to recognize when they're gone.
Right.
But those who are here, who, whether it's through their challenges, through their struggle, their accomplishments, it's all a part of the journey. And so we want to definitely make sure we recognize them for that.
No, for sure. And, we definitely, we're blessed to know the people that we know and learn from them and spend the time with them. And so whenever we get the opportunity to, we like bragging on our friends, like we do a pretty good job ourselves. Yeah. But we're super proud of our friends and what they've managed to accomplish and our many associates. Whenever we can shine a light on them, we absolutely do. So we can't wait for y'all to see what's lined up this season.
Right. And those of you who are friends or fans of Stan, Substantial.
I'm high.
We also, one person I did forget to mention how could I, because it's going to be a riot, but save the best for last, right? Is Tone Deaf. Tone Deaf will be in the house. Yes. For those of you that are QN5 fans or familiar with, with Tone, he's joining us as well. So that should be that should be a lot of fun. And those of you that know him,
that might know not why be we're a PG-13 episode. That might be a hard R.
Right. So, but yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. Again, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, so Stan and I are actually a husband-wife team. We have our own company called Substantial Art and Music, where it is a multimedia art agency where we provide both visual and performing artists with resources and supports, as well as things that that they probably didn't have to think about in depth or need assistance with. Let's say whether it's a website or a logo or navigating social media marketing. And so we provide that as a service, as well as provide workshops to the general public and the arts community.
For sure.
Anything I left out?
No, I mean, you definitely covered the bulk of it. Definitely a wide variety of services. We're kind of like a wraparound service in a lot of ways. Outside of the consulting, there are small businesses who sometimes need just help with their branding and other materials. And so we do a lot of that work. But the biggest thing is just really looking out for fellow creatives, providing them as many tools as possible, and just really showing them that, this is something that you can do and take care of yourself, those you care about, and really make a difference in the world, not just in your own life, And so oftentimes as creatives, and it's funny, I said this the other day and I could see someone making a face when I said it, but oftentimes as creatives, we get career advice from people who aren't creatives. So, it's that's like a cat giving a dog advice, right? While there might be some things that can be useful in what's being said, one doesn't necessarily understand what it's like to be in that position full time. And oftentimes there are people who themselves aren't creatives or don't even necessarily have creatives in their inner to really be able to speak on or give advice to people who are pursuing that path. And so oftentimes a lot of us get told the same things when we're growing up by non-creatives who school and other people have beat the creativity out of a lot of these people. And so we do our best to just be angel on the shoulder of a lot of these other creatives to help them make wise decisions and fulfill their dreams and what they believe their destiny and purpose is,
Right. Speaking of, giving our best. And so, some lessons learned from last season.
Talk about it.
I think for a lot of us, navigating both Zoom and these new outlets and platforms has been a learning curve for a lot of us. Yes. And we've we're not immune to that. And so some lessons that we learned as far as audio and some mixing, some musician, but with anything, technology is technology. Yeah. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right. Oh, we had challenges today. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
so it never fails. And so even the Golden Globes I hear had some issues. So, we're in good company. Having said that, we had some issues with Funky DL, who was one of our guests last year.
Ended up being
But
our
we ended
last
up he
guest.
being our last guest, but it was just as memorable and just
Yeah.
as important. And so we're happy that we were able to do that. Unfortunately, we had some technical issues with one of our guests, Jamila Felton, who is a phenomenal maker, visual artist, and so she'll be coming back on the
This
show
season.
again season. We wanted to make that. And so and it was such a good interview too.
Yes,
So
it was.
but things happen, and so we want to make
Mhm.
sure we want to give the best in quality to our guests and also for our audience. And so you'll be seeing her again this year.
Yes,
Any
indeed.
other hiccups? I mean, those are the main ones.
Yeah, I mean, we ain't got to tell them all our business. You know what I'm saying? You get it. It's challenging out here in these streets. We're making the best of the situation. I think the more important thing is that, for those of you listening, a lot of times we look at other people's lives and their paths and we don't necessarily see the flaws, right? Or like we kind of hold people up on a pedestal, and we struggle like everyone else do. And so it was definitely a fight to make the show happen. Podcasts aren't necessarily the most lucrative thing to do. So, it requires a lot of time and energy. So just understand that this is a labor of love for us. It's not necessarily about it's not necessarily about perfection. It's not necessarily about money. It's really just about having these conversations, doing the work, and trying to inspire others with the information that is provided on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I will say, if you want to learn more about us as individuals, we actually, if you go back to season 1, you can actually revisit and more about us. As far as our journey.
Yep, episodes 1 and 2.
Episodes 1 and 2. And then also, if you want to learn more about any of our past guests, just to catch up, we are available on just about every podcast platform.
Yes, so, pretty much.
The only thing that's new is YouTube, but you can listen to the audio on YouTube.
Right.
But
now we got visuals.
But now we got visuals.
You know what I'm saying? Because she cute. You know what I mean? So,
Thank you, Boo.
You welcome.
Thank you, Boo. You've been too shabby.
You welcome.
I see you.
You better stop playing. This camera on. You better stop it. So anyway, right? But yeah. So what's next? What we got? Because there's so much. We've been busy.
Yeah. So as far as so we did recaps and highlights. As far as us as a business, what we've been up to. We've been
and as individuals,
we've been very, very fortunate to have a lot of the opportunities that we've gotten. We've had some fantastic clients who sought us out. So, most of them, I would say, are folks that we know.
Yes.
And there's been some folks that we did not know, which was just as great. So as far as we did perform what's called a case study. A case study is basically like a portfolio of your work. And, based on your client's needs, what were their issues and how were you able to help them resolve those issues?
Right.
And so, as we mentioned before, our business is pretty much helping artists navigate, whether it's social media marketing, develop a website, helping them with streaming and things of that nature. And so we actually did perform that for several artists in 2020 and even going into 2021. And so we were very, very happy that we were able to do that for artists. And so if you are an aspiring artist and are looking for assistance with navigating any of those things that I've mentioned, or just need consultation as far as which direction to go into, we can help you definitely with that.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just to talk about some of the gains that we saw. I know that we serviced a wide variety of different types of visual artists, musicians, small businesses. So one of our clients, Delkus Collections. In fact, if you've seen me with a dashiki on, it's usually made by Della, the owner of Delkus Collections. And, one of the many successes that we saw last year was we were hard at work on her website long before, not long before, but right before the pandemic began. And ironically enough, part of the reason why we were working on this website is so that she could basically be able to sell her product online. and have that ability, because the vast majority of how she sells most of her content or her clothing was basically through festivals, right? Like different festivals and local events and all of that. And needless to say, that came to a screeching halt. And so luckily, we just happened to be working on her website and get her website up just in time to be able to make the most of the current situation and keep her business, thriving in the midst of all of this craziness.
Yeah.
So that's one of the major successes, I think, because she's someone we've been supporting by purchasing her clothing for years. And then she ended up becoming a client of ours, which is awesome. And we're just so happy that was able to work out for her,
Yeah. And the timing could not have been better. Like
Yes.
it was literally,
oh my goodness.
It was literally like, lockdown happened, not lockdown, but the where folks were quarantining. Yes. Quarantining. Thank you. Like she went live, like right then and there.
Right.
And another company, and dear friends of ours, owners of Spizzy Smoothies and Teas, where for those of you in the DMV area, it's a great smoothie shop, Black owned business in Prince George's County, Maryland. They do smoothies, they do teas, they have food. It's a great, great restaurant. And it was a restaurant that literally opened in March.
It opened the week that the lockdowns in Maryland, in PG County started. So right when they started locking down different businesses and made it so that only essential businesses could be open, the restaurants, that was the week that they opened their doors, which is insane. That's like, it's scary enough to start your own business, especially a brick and mortar location. But to do that, right at the height of everyone didn't know when this was going to end. And things were really just starting in terms of people really kind of locking everything down to keep folks safe.
Yeah.
So it was a scary time. And
with so many businesses that have shuttered their doors, restaurants, and especially restaurants, because if you're a dine-in restaurant and people can't dine in, what can you do? And so we were very fortunate to help them with developing and creating their logo, as well as their digital menu, as well as any marketing materials that they had. And so we worked with them on that. And so that was
bookmarks, posters, lawn signs.
Flags.
Yes.
So
whatever they needed.
We did a lot of that. And so we were very fortunate to be able to help them with that. And they've seen great gains. And so we're very happy and proud of them.
Absolutely.
You want to talk about, of course, our partners at Creative Suitland.
Yes.
Creative Suitland is an art center located also in Prince George's County. We do a lot of our work in the DMV area, particularly in Prince George's County. That is the home and birthplace of the hubs over here. So we definitely want to always do our part in servicing and providing programs to them. So as an artist partner of Creative Suitland, we help them with their grand opening. They just are about to celebrate their 1-year anniversary. Same with, similar to Spizzy, had literally opened their doors in February, and a month had all these programs and classes planned out. And unfortunately, we're able to participate.
Right.
So, but we still, they're thriving. They offer both dance classes, music classes, a series of things that they've been doing virtually. We partnered with them for the second year in a row with our, it's a Kwanzaa celebration that received, media exposure. Thanks to our Maven, Miss Kelly Maven Media,
for sure,
who definitely was a great resource for us. We provided a virtual Kwanzaa program where it consisted of storytelling, restorative justice, seated yoga, performances by Substantial, and Nidembaya drum and dance. And so it was great to have. To continue to be able to do that and provide it to not only the DMV community, but we were able to open it up to globally. So that was a plus in that. I mean, granted, nothing beats in-person performances and in-person, productions, but we were glad that we were able to still pursue that.
Sure, for sure.
Anybody else you want to highlight?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the musicians that we had the pleasure of working with, both musicians, record label, just a wide variety of folks. And I guess we'll start with, keep going, but almost there any minute. Wow. So shout out to J Soul. J Soul had a really good year in 2020 in terms of his streaming. We were blessed to work with, we've been working with him for years. Not 4 years, but we've been working with him for years, like a very long time. And I mean, he saw gains of over 300% in 4 different categories on Spotify. He went from being listened to in 76 countries in 2019 to 84. His monthly listeners or his listeners overall went up nearly 4%. And so that was amazing. Yeah. People listened to his music 3 times more than they did the year before. And he literally saw 5 times the, actually, no, am I saying that right? No, yeah, I was right. 5 times the amount of streaming that he saw the year before. You know, and so, yeah, it was huge gains for him. You know, we're super proud of the work that we've been doing with him and the advice that we've given him over the years. And it's dope to see him be able to take that information and really run with it. Another one of our big successes, as some of you who know me know, I did a collaboration with T. Lucas with the goal of, before we even did the collaboration, he was a client of ours. You know, I saw an opportunity to maybe do some production for him to help him continue to boost his numbers along with the work we were already doing. And so last year, you know, he basically went up nearly 10,000% in 4 categories in terms of total streams, total lists, new listeners, and playlist ads. So that was amazing. You know, a direct quote from him was, it was the first time that, you know, his music he actually saw a return from all the work he had been putting in financially. And so that was amazing. That, you know, we were super proud of that. And we know that he's just going to continue to grow and write it for whatever he decides to do next. But that was definitely another highlight. Also, Hypnot Records, you know, we've had a relationship with them for quite some time. They used to be owned by Kevin Nottingham. They're now owned by Joseph Miles, who's one of 2 members of the production group, The Other Guys. Mm-hmm. And they saw some major gains as well. You know, we worked with him on different strategies and consulted him and gave him advice on how to improve their streaming as a company and also for his group. And so they jumped from 76 countries to 92 countries. They went from people listening to their music in 2019 for about 3,500 hours total in 2019 to over 30,000 hours. Yeah. So, you know, nearly 10 times, you know, that was amazing. You know, they were from 26,000.6 listeners in 2019 to 246.2 thousand listeners in 2020. They jumped from 76,000 plus streams in 2019 to over 800,000 streams in 2020. And they directly credit us and our advice, you know, for those gains. I mean, just, man, you know, it's that, I mean, just so many huge things that happen. And then there was another project that we worked on that we assisted with. Shout out to Mason Lieberman in the release of the Real Folk Blues vinyl. That was a fundraiser that we basically collaborated on. Initially, when he presented the project, you know, I was just one of the 40 plus artists that performed on the track. And it was a fundraiser to raise money for the CDC and Doctors Borders to help with the fight against COVID. And so initially it was just going to be a digital release, and that would have been fine. You know, I think it would have definitely still saw a lot of the success that it saw in terms of how many people watched it on YouTube. But we decided to take it a step further. I advised them that maybe we should do this on vinyl, considering that we were working with
Yeah,
Bebop.
and it would have been a collector's item because you have a
Right.
lot of a very strong fan base already that was already positioned.
Yeah, for sure. And so when we decided to go that extra route and do the vinyl, basically the project jumped. I mean, we saw maybe like $10,000 or so in digital sales and streams, but additional $40,000 came from the vinyl alone. So we helped that project raise over $50,000, you know, and was able to donate it to a great cause and help with this fight that that all of us are still very much in the middle of right now. So that was exciting. That song also peaked at number 6 on the Billboard World Digital Sales charts. So that was a huge success as well. And, you know, it's nice to know that we played a small part in that. And shout out to all of the amazing artists. And of course, shout out to the companies, Funimation, Sunrise, for even allowing Mason and the entire team to, you know, giving us permission to use the IP for this great cause. And, you know, just oh my God, and Yoko Kanno and the seatbelts, the original composer and band from the TV show even jumped in on it, and that just helped it become a huge thing. And I don't even know if we mentioned it in the case study, but the song also was number 1 on the Amazon rock charts as well. Yeah, just, you know, I mean, it's not bad. It was not all bad last year. You know, we definitely had our challenges, but we saw some great successes. And just, yeah, it was you know, and so that's what we were able to do as a company. How about you? What do you feel? What are some of your proudest moments that, you know, professionally that didn't necessarily fall under substantial art and music, because you are an artist? So
yes, I am.
So what are some of the awesome things you got to do last year, Mrs. Robinson?
So like so many, those my background is in fashion design. So like so many of folks that were out there who have a sewing machine was literally performing a sweatshop of one, creating masks for my entire family. And my family, we're Haitian American, so needless to say, it's a lot of us. It's a lot, and quite a few work in the medical field. I wanted to make sure the little bit I could do. I had fabric. I have a sewing machine. You know, let the powers combine and perform my due diligence and do my part in helping out. And so I started the year with that. The year started out strong. I mean, we were in February of last year. We had went to Hawaii to perform workshops. I work very much closely with Adrian Jones, who was a guest of ours last year as well, who is the fashion design professor at Pratt Institute. And so together, she and I run blackdressexhibit.com, where we feature black designers, black stylists, models, basically all those in the fashion industry of African-American descent. And so, you know, there has been so much talk for so long about Black designers, and it's still an issue where Black designers are not represented or not given the same amount of exposure as some other designers. And so we wanted to make sure we did that. And in 2014, she actually launched the Black Dress Exhibit, where she featured 10 African-American designers. And so still very much working with that. So be sure to check out blackdressexhibit.com.
Oh, yeah.
Some other things that I worked on. I am an aspiring writer. I've been working in the craft of screenwriting. And so 2020 allowed me the time to actually, you know, like, look, tomorrow's not promised. You need to finish these projects that you've been working on. Like so many other artists, you know, you start something and then don't finish. And so I was able to finish not 1, but 2 scripts that I am in the process of shopping around to be picked up, and just building my portfolio in that respect. I have a lot of ideas in my head. And so it's good to be able to put, you know, pen to paper or fingertips to keyboard to work on that and see where that goes. I've, throughout, I would say throughout my adult life, Stan has teased me and said that I am like the Black Barbara Walters. I love talking to people. I love interviewing. I love being in people's business, basically. I don't make people cry. That's not my thing. Okay. So, but Stan knows I love Oprah. I love Barbara Walters. I love you. And so I've been, throughout my adult life, people have always complimented me on the voice. And so I have actually done a couple gigs for mixtapes that pretty much started out my career right in voiceover. So mixtapes and some other projects that I've done throughout. And most recently I auditioned for a graphic novel that will be coming out, but it's also a audiobook as well.
Well, no. So the recordings that you're doing are for some animations that will be going on. Yeah, like
the pitch,
right, and the promo. You know what I mean? Connected to it.
And so I'm working on that. I'm not going to release too much information because it's still in the works. So I'm not going to tell you about it, but I'm working on something in that respect, where I got to work on an accent too. So this is where I get my acting chops.
Oh yeah.
But so that is in the forefront. Gosh, what else?
But you did other voiceover work too, not just that. Like you did some stuff for couple different. I'm trying to let you tell it.
I know, but I don't know because they didn't release it, so I don't know.
She getting work. That's all you need to know.
I'm putting in the work.
You know what I mean?
Putting in the work. I promise you. Yeah. So, but yeah, I've done stuff for some. I won't say political, but some corporations. There you go. I've done some stuff for some corporations and some nonprofits. And so, so when they come out, I'll definitely be able to share that with you. But it's been a good year. I mean, we've had, there's some rough patches as well and some, some hurt, obviously. But, we're grateful. We're all still here. We're parents. Just like so many of you out there who are, dealing with navigating virtual learning and mommy dad care at home. And so it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge, sure. But I think what helps with us, we kind of like each other.
That helps. You know what I mean? It really does. Like, when you look across home, your eyes connect and you don't want to fight. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. So, we try to appreciate the little things. But this has been having this as a platform has been a great thing that we've wanted. We collaborate together on projects and business anyway. And so this was just one thing. And so we're happy to be able to do that.
No, for sure. Yeah, some of the stuff that happened, I know for me, some of the things I'm most proud of outside of our business, we mentioned the whole Rural Folk Blues thing. So obviously all the accolades that came along with that. This was my first time being on a Billboard charting record. So that was super exciting. Something that just happened last month, got a nomination from the Hollywood Music and Media Awards for the work I did on the game Arknights. For a song called Renegade. So receiving that nomination, that was also a first in my career. I said it to a group of students that I work with, to be 42 years old working in hip hop, right? Like, yeah, I work in music and I technically work in the music industry, but to be a 42-year-old hip hop artist who's independent, underground, so to speak, and still be seeing so many first, like from month in, month out, still having first in my career has been a really, really, it's been an exciting time, especially to be able to do it under these conditions, to still find ways to kind of reinvent myself and all of that. So yeah, it's been really, really dope to see and stuff. And, I'm excited for what's to come. You know what I'm saying? There's new music and as all this wisdom kicks in, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, so all these grays, you know. So badge of honor, man. It's been dope.
Absolutely.
It's been dope growing in this. So yeah, you know what I mean.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I mean, we have so many things on the
Yes.
forefront, and we'll definitely be sure to share that with you. I want to say in 2 weeks
Mhm.
will be our first guest for Artistry. So if you haven't seen, if this is your first episode, don't let it be your last. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to share.
Yes.
If you like what you hear, let us know. We love to hear, leave it in the comments, leave, if you want to rate us, we welcome that.
Yes.
But yeah, if you enjoy what you hear today, definitely go back into some of the past episodes to catch up on some of the other artists that we've worked with. And we have tons of new artists that we're going to be interviewing in the coming weeks. And so definitely be sure to check us out. And we're looking forward to seeing you all again.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely, if you are a fellow creative or a small business owner and you're in need of help, you're in need of guidance and different things like that, feel free to reach out. We're here. We're for the people, and we want to see folks do well. So definitely,
we want to see you win.
Yes, absolutely. Because when you win, we win.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Luna Bunny. One of the great things about being able to do this live now and record the video and stuff like that is we get to generally see some of y'all pop up and show love. So shout out to Luna Bunny. We definitely got some dope stuff coming with her as well. Our company is, we can't talk about it. Okay. I can?
No, you can.
Okay,
you can.
got you. So so our company, as a company, we're working on our first ever children's book. So Luna Bunny is going to be the illustrator for that.
We're so excited.
Yes, we are.
So excited.
You can hear it in her voice. She ain't sound like that the whole interview.
I know.
So it's real. But yeah, so we're working on a children's book, which will be coming out later this year. And shout out to Luna Bunny again for her work on it, because she's killing it and it looks amazing. So,
and she's on IG, so make sure to follow her.
Yes, absolutely. But that's it for now. No outro music for this one, but don't worry, we will be in listen, everything will be back to normal. You know what I mean? Within these next 2 weeks. This is this part of the show, us doing the visual side of it. I know for everyone listening, when you hear this later, you're not going to know what we're talking about, but definitely us trying to manage the visuals along with the audio is a bit different than what we were doing before. So it's a couple hiccups here and there, but just bear with us. Hopefully we hit our stride by episode 2. Fingers crossed. But definitely we appreciate the continued support, and stay tuned for more, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. As she said before, hit that like button. And if you are listening to the podcast, make sure you subscribe wherever, whatever platform you're listening on, and continue to follow us for more awesomeness. All right. And thank you all so much. And we appreciate you all for showing love in the comments as well. All right. So have a great one. And understand, whenever our show runs a little bit shorter, we will mom for questions. So if you all ever have questions, including those of you who are here right now, if you ever have questions, feel free to just throw them in the mix. And definitely, if we got time to get to it, we absolutely will every time. All right. You want to say anything else before we go?
God bless you and good night.
Thank you for coming out. God bless you and good night. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great one. All right.
All right. Peace.
Peace, 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 peace.